Hey folks, Alex here for Character Strength and Conditioning, and today we're going to be talking about an Olympic weightlifting and powerlifting program, also known as a Supertotal program. So this is a program where you're going to maximize your snatch, clean and jerk, squat, bench, and deadlift simultaneously, okay? So what I'm going to be talking about today are the three key principles that you're going to use for constructing a Supertotal program. I'm going to give you a 4-day Supertotal program template. I'm going to give you novice, intermediate, and advanced progressions to use through that program. I'm going to show you some weightlifting variations that you can plug into the program. And I'm going to give you some rules, some FAQs, some ways to run it as best as you can. So that's everything we're going to go through today. If you are new to the channel, if you can do me a quick solid, do a quick like, subscribe, drop me a comment down below if anything's useful. And if you are listening to this online and you can't see any visuals, I will try and link everything down in the show notes or the description. But I'll also describe anything that I'm talking about if there's visuals or graphs to help you out with that. Let's jump right into it. So constructing the Supertotal program. I think there are three key principles that you can use to construct Supertotal programs, and that's what I've built these around. So the foundation of the Supertotal program is increasing squatting strength, okay? That's my number one rule, so the squat must increase. It correlates so well with your snatch, your clean and jerk, your deadlift, that we are going to be squatting 3 times per week in various variations. For some of you, that might just be a simple 3x5 linear progression. For others, it might look more like a Texas method. And for more advanced lifters, that might look more like a 5-3-1 or juggernaut style progression. Okay, I'm going to go through that in detail later, but all you need to know is that we're going to be pushing the squat. Second is that weightlifting movements need to be practiced regularly. If you have a good understanding of what we call SRA curves or stimulus recovery adaptation curves, you know that movements like the squat or especially the deadlift beat you up and they take a long time to recover from. Whereas things like the snatch, which are really quick and don't have any eccentric, you can do lots and lots and lots. You recover really quickly from. And you also need to repeat them multiple times per week to dial in your technique. So in this program, we're going to have snatch, clean and jerk, and variance trained 2-3 times a week. And we're going to have strength movements trained slightly less frequently than that. All right, next up, simplicity is key. You are training not one lift or two, you've got 5 different lifts that you're going to be trying to hit at the same time. So you can't be throwing in a ton of other things and hoping to still get really good at those 5. I would say you need to focus on those 5 exercises and close variations of them, okay? Assistance work, accessory work can be dabbled in, but tiny amounts, okay? Your focus has to be on keeping this thing simple. So that's what this program does. The program itself, all right? So we're going to jump into this. Here's a rough Supertotal program template for all levels, okay? So again, I've got this up on the screen. I'm going to describe it out loud if you're just listening to this. I'm going to work you through it, all right? So day 1, Monday, you're going to have clean and jerk variations, squat and bench. Wednesday, you're going to have snatch variations, squat and press. Friday, you're going to do squat, bench, and deadlift, a big strength day. Then Saturday is going to be purely weightlifting movements. It's going to be the snatch and clean and jerk. So that is your rough template. Now, we need to fill in some details depending on your level. If you are a novice and using a novice progression, then what you might do is have clean and jerk variations on day 1, 3x5 squat, 3x5 bench. Day 2, you'll have 3x5 squat, 3x5 press. Day 3, you're going to have, again, 3x5, 3x5, 1x5, and do the 1x5s on the deadlift. And day 4, you're going to have 3x2 on the snatch, 3x2 on the clean and jerk. So all you're going to be doing on a novice progression is adding to that little bits at a time. It's a real simple progression. There's not a ton of volume. There's not a ton of variation. All I want you to do is every single time you come around each week, you're going to try and add, every time you come around each session, you're going to try and add to those lifts. So every time you squat, you're going to try and add 1.25 to 2.5 kilos. Every time you press, you're going to add 1.25 to 2.5 kilos. Every time you deadlift, 1.25 to 2.5 kilos. It might be that you even add 5 kilos to the deadlift each time because you can, and you're only training it that once per week. So it's a linear progression. The overall structure looks a lot like starting strength, you know? It's that classic linear progression structure, adding weight every single time you perform a movement. You won't be able to do this forever. This is very much for novices, for beginners. You're probably going to be able to run this for 2, maybe 3 months, and then you might find yourself on the intermediate progression. Now, the intermediate progression. You have this kind of graph up on the screen in front of you. If you're just listening, basically it's a graph that has start of the week at the start of the axis and end of the week at the end. You're going to start with lower intensity and build to high intensity. You're going to start with higher volume and build to lower volume. So it has this kind of start. The start of the week is really volume heavy, and then the end of the week pushes the intensity. It pushes the weights. So Monday, you might have clean and jerk variations, 4x3. You'll have squat 3 to 5 sets of 5 at 3 RAR or 90% of last week's 5 RM. You're going to bench 3 to 5 by 5 at 3 RAR or 90% of last week's 5 RM. Wednesday's a little bit lighter. You have some snatch variations. Squat 2x5 at 80% on Monday. Press 2x5, moderate difficulty. Friday, you're going to hit a squat 5RM, bench 5RM, deadlift 1x5 at 1 to 2 RIR. It's not a 5RM because I don't want you absolutely pushing to max on this because it's going to fry you for Saturday. So you're going to go relatively heavy on the deadlift, but you're going to leave a little bit in the tank. And then Saturday is your weightlifting focus day. You're going to do 3x2 on the snatch and clean and jerk, both at 75 to 85% of your 1RM. So this progression, this intermediate progression that you've put into this template is very much a Texas method style system. Volume at the start of the week, intensity at the back end of the week. So it's almost like a periodized program condensed to a 1 week format. You're going to be adding a small amount of weight to your week, like lifts each week, probably 1 to 3 kilos, something like that. And you'll usually do this for about 4 to 6 weeks before you take your deload week, and then you repeat it. So that's your intermediate progression. What about if that doesn't work? What about an advanced progression? Well, if you're an advanced lifter, you can't progress weekly anymore. You can't progress session by session. You probably can't even progress every couple of weeks. So you need to follow a periodized super total training program where we manipulate load, rep ranges, volume over a period of 4 to 12 weeks, and you hit a PR at the end of that cycle. So what I've done is I've got a graph in front of me. Hopefully you can either see this, but if you're listening online, then what I've done on the x-axis is time, and on the y-axis is just amount. So we start at the start of the axis with low intensity, then we end towards the end of the axis with high intensity. We start with higher volume, and then we end with lower volume. So just like the intermediate approach, it's like high volume at the start and it's high intensity at the end. The only difference is that we stretch this out. So now it's not over a week, now it's over 4 or 8 or 12 weeks. An example of what that might end up looking like, you might have a hypertrophy block where you do 6x3, 60 to 70% of weightlifting work, and 4x8 at 3 to 1 RIR for your strength work. You might have a strength block where you do 5 doubles at 75 to 85% for your weightlifting, and then you do 4 sets of 5 at 3 to 1 RIR for your strength work. And then you're going to have a peaking block where you do 8 singles at 85 to 105% for your weightlifting work, and 4 sets of 3 at 3 to 1 RIR for your strength work. It's a variation. That's just an example. Each of those blocks is probably going to take 3, 4, or 5 weeks. They're very specific phases where you push closer and closer and closer towards maxing out at the end. If you are a beginner, a novice, an intermediate, stay away from this. This is more complication than you need. This, like advanced programs that to milk out the last possible bits of performance from people that have already been training for a long time, you can make faster and better progress on a beginner or an intermediate progression. So only use this if you need to. All right. Last but not least, what do I mean by variations of these movements? Well, when we talk about the weightlifting movements, and I've got in the program that you can use variations, there are 2 that I really like, and that is hangs and powers. So you could use a hang power clean or a high hang variation. You could use muscle and no contact variations. You could use pull variations where you just do hip contact and work on a vertical extension. There's just some examples. There's loads of potential options, but if you're unsure about what to do, or if you want to just some general inspiration, look at the Catalyst Athletics video library. They've got a fantastic amount of accessory exercises for you to choose from. And I really recommend start reading some books, start watching some videos, try and pick up technical knowledge and educate yourself as much as possible, because it's going to speed up the process a little bit of learning which technical bits you need to put into work on. If you're really not sure, I can't emphasize enough investing in a coach. And look, I'm incredibly biased because I am a coach. This is what I do as a job. It's what I love doing as a job. I offer online weightlifting coaching. I offer custom written programs to help you with stuff based on technique feedback. If you're not sure about that, if you're like, man, is he just selling me something? Well, there's some other great people you can go to, okay? Look at Max Ater, look at Greg Everett, Spencer Arnold in the States is fantastic. There's some options that you can think about talking to some people that know this shit that are going to help you with it, okay? So they're just some general suggestions. If you're really unsure, just invest in a coach for a couple of months, ask loads of questions, learn as much as you can, and it's going to help you a lot with learning which kind of variations to put into your program. Last but not least, rules to follow: sleep as much as possible, eat as much as possible within reason, okay? So a slight calorie surplus for this, maybe 300 above maintenance, is going to help you a lot with recovery. Don't have to go absolutely crazy. You can always do a little mini cut at the end if you gain a bit too much weight, but don't try and do a big program like this where you're hitting all these 5 major lifts and you're also trying to cut weight. It's just a pain in the ass. I'd suggest trying to gain a little bit of weight as you perform this program. If you really want to do the best with it, that'd be my advice. What I've done is I've got some FAQs at the end. I realize this video is getting pretty long now. It is taking its time. So what I'm probably going to do is I'm going to attach a link to these down in the description or down in the show notes where you've got some FAQs. These are just questions that I've assembled based on, I've had thousands of people read this article, and just so many people, probably like, I want to say close to 100 people email me various questions. So what I've done is I've just looked for recurring themes and I've tried to answer them as best I can. So there's 5 or 6 just down there, but I'm going to set those down in the notes. I don't think you want to go through random FAQs for the next 10 minutes. I really hope that that program is going to be useful to you, that what I've outlined is going to be useful. If you did find it fairly handy, you can subscribe to my mailing list down below. I'll send out weekly programs, workouts, weightlifting tips. Feel free to share the article with anyone else that you think would benefit. And if you want to find out more about my weightlifting coaching options, my pre-written programs, then you can check out the links there. That is all for today. So if honestly you've got a couple minutes, if you want to just do a like, do a subscribe, do any of those reviewy things if you're listening on Spotify or anything like that. And as much as I can say, if there's anything you really want to see content-wise, if there's a program you want me to review, a sort of concept you want me to cover, or a program you want me to look at, let me know down in the comments, and I really will add it to my list of content to produce. I have a big content list and a big content backlog. I try to get through suggestions from you guys as fast as I can. So pop it down below, and I really will try and get to it. That is it for today. I hope you'll have a good day. Hope this has answered as many questions as you can, and I will catch you all in the next one. See you there.